From Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, Root Sports brings you Houston Astros baseball. Tonight it's Game 2 of a 4-game series. The Astros are meeting the Tampa Bay Rays. Good evening, everybody. Bill Brown along with Alan Ashby and Bart Ennis will come along in just a few minutes to talk more about Game 2 of this series. Ash, last night the Rays won. It was a blowout game 9-2. Just a terrible game for the Astros. Now they try to regroup against a club which is 4-0 against them this year. So for all the talk about the AL West race, it's only the Tampa Bay Rays of concern to the Astros right now.
At the moment, that's it. 0-4 against Tampa Bay on the season. Got swept in St. Pete back just prior to the All-Star break. So you got to find the keys, some way to be able to get at these Rays.
Well, some hitting would certainly be welcome. Jose Altuve has brought a hot bat into the last few games, and he continued that work last night.
Over the last 10 games, in fact, hitting .395 in that span. By the way, all of the hits, 17 of them, singles, and he's driven in a pair of runs. But he is starting to swing the bat much better. This is the Altuve the Astros need over the course now of the final about 6 weeks of the year. Altuve doing kind of what he did as he won the batting title last year, a tremendous stretch that he maintained over .330 on the season.
And the Astros did muster up a little offense last night. If you heard the name Dickie Thon and then Evan Gattis, what do they have in common? Anything come to mind?
I thought they were the same player watching Evan Gattis here recently. Evan Gattis with the 9 triples, second best in the American League so far this year. But what they do have in common are some rather eerie numbers. Dickie Thon back in '83 had 18 homers, 9 triples, 61 RBIs. That happens to be exactly where Evan Gattis is right now. Evan Gattis is a guy that's been carrying the team at times in terms of the RBIs. And, of course, when he gaps one, you know it's 3 bags as he gets that speed going. 9 triples on the year for Evan Gattis, 10 on his career.
Coming up next, the Astros will be looking to get off to a better start tonight against the Rays. We'll hear from Bart Ennis and A.J. Hinch when we get back.
Tonight, they're hoping to see the Astros do something that they have not done yet this year, which is beat Tampa Bay. As the guys were discussing a moment ago, the Astros were swept out there in a series right before the All-Star break. All three of those games were close, though. Last night's game was a bit of a different animal because it got ugly at the end, and in fact it got ugly in the first inning when the Rays dropped a 4 spot on Scott Kazmir and the Astros and took that early 4-0 lead. Now, since the Astros got off to that great start, they were 27-14, hitting a bunch of home runs and scoring a bunch of runs. After that, they started to have some issues in the first inning, and if you take a look at the numbers, it bears that out as they have a negative 18 run differential in terms of runs scored between them and their opponents. But a lot of that has been about pitching, failure to execute pitches, failure to make plays in the field, making errors in the field that have opened the floodgates for some big innings. So moving forward, you look at last night's game, and Scott Kazmir was very close to getting out of the first inning. He got the first 2 outs before it went single, walk, bloop single that scored a run, and then Kazmir hung a slider to Tim Beckham, and just like that, it was 4-0. And in our Geico quote of the day, A.J. Hinch said, that was tough for the team to overcome.
We couldn't get the inning to stop. You know, there was a base hit, there was a walk, there was a dead 2-strike homer. A lot of bad things happened that inning to put us down 4-0, and then I thought we scratched a run out. Got back in the game a little bit, but we just didn't end at bats.
So the guys hoping to turn the tables tonight behind Scott Feldman, who early in the season had his own issues in the first inning, but since coming back from the DL, he has been great. Hopefully we'll see that guy tonight. We'll have starting lineups in the first pitch for you, and Astros baseball continues in just a moment.
$15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. The Astros take the field here at Minute Maid Park. And it's Scott Feldman heading for the mound in a ballpark which finds the Astros with a record of 40-20. They've won 16 of their last 20 ball games here. They have a 2.5-game lead in the wild card, in the division race, rather, in the Western Division. Let's not worry about the wild card yet, although a lot of teams are involved with that, including Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay trails by 2.5 in the wild card race in the American League. Scott Feldman warming up now, and as you can see, in 15 starts, and he's had knee surgery, 5-5 with a 4.17 ERA, Ash.
It's actually been very good in recent starts, including that last shutout effort. 6 innings in San Francisco, 4-hit ball. really good there. But over the last 4 starts, batting average against down around the 210, 215 mark, the ERA in that same range. So he's been pitching good baseball.
We take a look now at the Tampa Bay Rays lineup, and it has been really racking up the numbers lately. 5 straight games in double figures in hits. DH John Jaso leads it off with Grady Sizemore in left field, Evan Longoria at third base, James Loney of Houston, the first baseman, Logan Forsythe at second base, Asdrubal Cabrera at shortstop, Daniel Nava in right field, Kevin Kiermaier in center field, Kurt Casale the catcher, and Jake Odorizzi will be on the mound. Now the Tampa Bay Rays not only have beaten the Astros with that sweep in St. Petersburg, but they are 11-6 at Minute Maid Park. That's their best record in any city on the road. They have truly had the Astros number. They're 19-10 overall against Houston, and since the Astros moved to the American League, the Rays are 14-4 against them. It's Jaso leading it off. The infield shifts around on this left-handed hitter. At 345 with 1 homer, 13 runs batted in, and on the road he's almost at 500. 1 for 1 with an RBI and a walk last night. High drive goes out to center field, sending Gomez back. Carlos Gomez to the track. One long out to start this one.
Yeah, that leadoff fastball got juiced, but that's the good part of the park to allow guys to tee off to.
Gomez ranging back on this big swing.
You can see that fastball is right in that hit me hard zone. If Carlos Gomez likes to go get the baseball, this ballpark will provide that opportunity.
33-year-old Grady Sizemore steps up. Feldman delivers. There's strike 1. 236 for Sizemore, 6 homers, 13 runs batted in for Grady. He's had 89 at-bats, and he had 98 more in the National League with the Philadelphia Phillies. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count to Sizemore. It was a 3rd-round pick of Montreal in 2000. With Cleveland, he had solid years, including 33 homers, 90 runs batted in 08. But then the surgeries began, and he had major problems with his legs. Sat out 2012 and 2013. Came back to play for Boston and the Phillies last year. 11 of his 21 hits for the Rays have been extra base hits. That one goes out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Scott Feldman is facing the Rays for the first time as an Astro, but has 12 career appearances against them, a 4-3 record and a 2.44 ERA. Last time out Wednesday, he shut out the Giants for 6 innings, throwing 85 pitches in a 2-0 win. That was an awfully big game. As you and Blummer and Julia worked that one, it was the final game of the road trip, a trip that had not gone well. A 2-7 road trip, and Scott Feldman pitched the 2 wins.
Yeah, you go into that final day in San Francisco against the Giants, a good team. You're 1-7. It just felt like a must-win for the team.
Sizemore takes a 1-out free pass. Evan Longoria comes up.
Here's the strike zone, brought to you by MD Anderson.
Feldman checking with his infielders. Jose Altuve is playing close to second base, so he would get the throw on a comebacker on a double play situation. Evan Longoria had another big game last night against the Astros. He's had a lot of those in his career. He turns away from ball 1. Longoria, a 277 hitter, has 13 homers, 54 runs batted in. In 12 games in this ballpark, he has absolutely sizzled. For his career overall, 23 runs batted in 25 games against Houston. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Astros pitchers are catching the Rays hitters at a bad time for Houston. They have several hitters who have swung the bat well the last few weeks. And last night Tampa Bay racked up 15 hits in a 9-2 win. Curveball, and Longoria checked his swing. The appeal went down to Rob Drake. 2-1. Clint Fagan is the home plate umpire. He is from this area. Two balls, two strikes to Longoria. In 12 career games at Minute Maid Park, his slash line is .373 batting average, .429 on base average, .706 slugging percentage.
It's that last pitch many more times. He's likely to add to those numbers.
Ground ball hit into right field for Longoria. And last night he had 3 hits. He adds to that total in this series.
Started last night with that little ground ball through a vacated right side, and shoots that way here again on the slider. Defensively for the Astros tonight in the outfield, Marwin Gonzalez gets the start at left. Carlos Gomez and Colby Rasmus fill out the outfield. Left side of the infield, Jed Lowry and Carlos Correa. Jose Altuve and Luis Valbuena on the right. Jason Castro once again behind the plate.
Houston native James Loney is the batter. 31-year-old first baseman with a .272 average, has 4 homers, 23 runs batted in. He was drafted by the Dodgers in the first round in '02 after a big career at Elkins High School. He hit .509 as a senior, and also as a pitcher that year was 9-1 at Elkins with a 1.80 ERA for the #1 team in the nation with a 30-1 record. Out toward the gap in left center field, Marwin Gonzalez has been working in left but hasn't often played left. That's out number 2.
Let's take a look inside the box score now, brought to you by Jack in the Box. Scott Feldman over the last 10 starts, and of course you can see even in the last 4 starts, as we were talking about the numbers, .216 the ERA in that span. He's pitched very well, just a couple of home runs allowed. And he's been lasting deep into the game, 6 in the 3rd innings average during that. Over the previous 6 starts, not quite as good, but you total all those 10 up, and he has been good.
Logan Forsythe is next up. That's in for strike 1. Forsythe, a .278 hitter, has 13 homers. He's driven in 51 runs. He has gone 3 for 13 against Houston pitching this year. Last night he was the DH. He had a single and a couple of walks. One and one. The Rays are a classic 500 team. Their record is 59-59. At home, they're 31-31. On the road, they're 28-28.
You got to figure out how have the Rays maintained that 500 mark on the road. That's what the Astros need to key in on.
A swing takes it to 1-2 on Forsythe. They have been outscored by their opponents by 9 runs this season.
Over the top curveball, pretty good spot. Also a pretty good swing by Logan Forsythe.
Feldman is throwing the 6th highest percentage of curveballs in the big leagues. Diving play, Correa gets up, zips a throw over to first. They got him. Valbuena backed up and took the throw in foul territory, and that throw almost zipped right into Forsythe, but it was a clothesline on the throw from Correa for out number 3.
This guy is astounding. I'm not sure why Valbuena took that route.
Now the Astros lineup is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Jose Altuve on a 4-game hitting streak. He's now tied for third in hits in the American League. He leads off at second base with Marwin Gonzalez getting his first start in left field. It's Carlos Correa at shortstop. Jed Lowry at third. Carlos Gomez in center field. Colby Rasmussen right. Evan Gattis at DH. Luis Valbuena at first base. Jason Castro is the catcher.
And on the mound for these Rays, 25-year-old right-hander Jake Odorizzi, 6-6 with a very nice 3.09 ERA. Last time out, roughed up by Atlanta in a no decision. The 4 starts previous to that, he pitched extremely well. So 19 starts on the year. 2 career starts, 2-0 against the Astros in those 2.
Jose Altuve digging a foothold. Will be settling into the box with the 8th best batting average in the American League. 303 with 9 homers, 50 runs batted in, 138 hits for Altuve. And he got 2 more of those last night. Also lined out hard to Longoria at third base. Odorizzi has an ERA of 0 against the Houston Astros for 2 career starts. Fouled away, strike 1. Odorizzi 6-6 despite a fine ERA of 3.09. Has had some tough luck along the way, and he's been on the DL with a left oblique strain. Altuve just helped him, and it's 0-2.
Your hit leaders in the American League, and Jose Altuve tied for that 3rd spot.
Altuve fouls it. Odorizzi likes to pinpoint his offerings into all quadrants of the strike zone. He really forces the hitters to defend the entire zone. Prince Fielder leads the league in hits with 145. Nelson Cruz is second with 144. That one bounces, and it's 1-2. Odorizzi beat Dallas Keuchel at Tampa Bay July 11th, 3-0, going 5 2/3 innings, allowing 2 hits. Fouled by Altuve. Last year at Tampa Bay, he beat Jake Buchanan in June 8-0, 7 1/3 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts. Altuve started the bat on that one. 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes now. Odorizzi, 25 years old, from Breeze, Illinois. It's a supplemental pick after the first round of the 08 draft. Altuve sharply hitting it past the diving Longoria into left field. Takes his hitting streak to 5 games. Hangs his hands together. He really battled for that hit.
Much better at bats here in the past week plus now for Jose. He's been stinging the ball to all fields.
Marwin Gonzalez becomes the 10th different player to play left field as a starter for the Astros this year. 266, 7 homers, 25 runs batted in for Marwin. He bunts out in front of the plate. Casale with the throw, and that's a sacrifice. Altuve to second, 1 out.
That's a nice job by Marwin. If that goal is to move the runner up one way or the other, he gets it done beautifully. Let's take a look now at the Super Bowl replay, brought to you by Mattress Firm. That effort on the bunt by Marwin Gonzalez. You can see Casale falling all the way in, makes the perfect throw to get Marwin. And Marwin, like almost every other player in the league, will run inside that baseline. Drill him in the back with the throw. It's going to bring the out call, or should.
Carlos Correa spent the morning at Texans practice. 286, 14 homers, 38 runs batted in. He looks at strike one. There is no truth to the rumor that he gave a tackling clinic after Sunday's tackle on Jose Altuve after the game-winning hit.
Yeah, he has been advised that there will be no more tackling.
That was his first trip to the manager's office to receive that advice. One and one. He hung out with J.J. Watt.
You know, I was asking Carlos the other day about J.J. Watt and his ability with the bat, and the first response from Correa was, he's a good athlete. Boyer and Cushing, and I guess a little early fame from the Carlos Correa camp has him as a guy everybody wants to meet.
2 balls and a strike. He's on that list. 340 with men in scoring position. It's 2-2. Odorizzi was 11-13 last year for Tampa Bay with a 4.13 ERA. He was briefly with Kansas City and then traded to Tampa Bay after the 2012 season. Up for ball 3, and now it's a full count. Jed Lowry's on deck. Odorizzi passed on a scholarship offer from the University of Louisville when he signed his first pro contract. Grounded. Longoria. 2 outs. Jed Lowry will bat.
Defensively for Tampa Bay in the outfield, Grady Sizemore, Kevin Kiermaier, and Daniel Nava. Left side of the infield, Evan Longoria, Asdrubal Cabrera. Right side, Logan Forsythe and James Loney. Kurt Casale behind the plate.
Jed Lowry tries for a 2-out RBI with a .269 batting average. 5 homers, 17 runs batted in for Lowry. Infield shifts around, playing him to pull. The shortstop is up the middle. Cabrera. Strike 1 to Jed, who reports that thumb is holding up fine. He's had a fair number of ground balls at third base. Has certainly passed that test. This is his 14th start at third base since he came back from the thumb surgery. No balls, 2 strikes. George Springer is going through something somewhat similar to Jed. They were both out for weeks, and neither could lift any weights at all with the hand injuries they had, being in a cast. So George is now swinging a fungo bat. He's not hitting the baseball yet. The Astros are going to build him up.
He also did no throwing while he had the cast on, so he's got to regain all of that.
Fly ball up the right field line, and it goes foul. Yeah, it does take a while. You realize how much strength comes from lifting weights, and baseball is a game of hand strength for the hitters.
George was able to do his running, but now it's all about the baseball skills, the throwing, the hitting.
No particular timetable on George, but he's working very hard to get back as soon as possible. It's 1-2. Early September could be a realistic target for George to return to the lineup. He will need apparently some at-bats in the minor leagues on a rehab assignment. Maybe not too many. Lowry takes it, and it's 2-2. Odorizzi has walked just 29 in 117 innings. The Mariners got 3 at Texas and lead it 3-0 in the top of the second inning. Lowry takes, and it's a full count for the second straight hitter. 20 pitches for Odorizzi so far. Carlos Gomez is on deck. Lowry was one of the hottest hitters in the American League in April. Then he went on the disabled list for weeks. Ground ball and diving. There's a second sacker. Forsythe to rob him. And in the first inning for the Astros, it's no runs, a hit, and a man left. Spectacular play by middle infielders of both teams in the first.
The second. Keuchel's Corner is a dedicated section for fans to show their support for our bearded pitcher, Dallas Keuchel, every time he takes the mound. You get a ticket, a fake beard, and a Keuchel's Corner Go Beard or Go Home t-shirt for tomorrow's game against the Rays. For more information, go to astros.com/Keuchel's Corner or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. Dallas loves to see the little 7-year-old kids with the fake beards on, guys.
Oh,
he gets a big chuckle out of that.
That's a tribute. Keuchel's Corner tomorrow night. The Texas Rangers have acquired Will Venable and designated Michael Choice for assignment in a deal with San Diego. Interesting. As Drupal Cabrera leads it off in the second inning. Cabrera has really sizzled through August. 268 for the season, 8 homers, 32 runs batted in, 481 in August. Fouls it back, strike one, and has played a good brand of shortstop as well for the Rays. Cabrera is on a 6-game hitting streak. He had 2 hits and drove in 3 runs last night. There's a liner over Jed Lowry into left field. Cabrera takes the turn. It's picked up by Marwin Gonzalez, and he's on with a leadoff single.
I would say we're seeing a number of swings by the Rays here in this brief series to this point that look like they're shooting to that wide open side on the ship. Now, obviously, nobody's going to catch that one way or another, but it just looks like the swings are going in that direction.
Yeah. Took that one the other way, and he's aboard for Daniel Nava. Nava started at first base last night. He contributed 3 hits to the cause. He's played 7 games with the Rays, hitting .333 after they claimed him off waivers August 5th from Boston. Switch hitter. Nava takes, and there's strike one. Hisashi Iwakuma, on the heels of his no-hitter last time out, is on the mound for Seattle at Texas. He gave up a hit in the Rangers first, but has a 3-0 lead provided by Seth Smith with his 10th homer. That was a 2-run shot off Chichi Gonzalez of Texas. It's 1-1. The Rangers have gone 13-5 since acquiring Cole Hamels. And they are 3 games behind the Astros. The Angels are 2.5 back. Both are even with 57 losses. The Astros have 55. Feldman missing, goes to a 2-ball 1-strike count on Nava. So there's the way the picture looks in the American League West. Very tight bunch.
A couple of weeks ago, it looked like a 2-team race. The Rangers have turned that into a 3-team race, and they're playing probably the best baseball of the bunch right now.
Things tightened up last night as both the Angels and Rangers won and the Astros lost. Runner going in the air, and this will go back out of play. 2-2.
By the way, as we look at Carlos Correa, what a play defensively to end that top of the first inning. I have no idea what Luis Valbuena was doing on the other end, stepping back on the foul side of the bag, but Correa was just so good that no matter what anybody else tried to do, they couldn't mess it up. Look at this guy. That gets intriguing.
Almost got Forsythe, too. That's a rally killer. Fly ball out to right field. Rasmus over toward the line. 1 out. Well, that play certainly spectacular. Really snuffed out Tampa Bay, leaving 2 men on in the first. Last night, the Rays got 4 runs in the first. Scott Kazmir retired the first 2, and then they went to work.
Well, we've seen so many gems by Correa defensively. People tend to talk about his offensive side of the game, and rightly so, but man, this has been repeated time and time again by Correa. No matter how you look at that play, it's an out in the end.
Kevin Kiermaier's the batter. They play him to pull, and it's strike 1 on the curve from Feldman to a 249 hitting Kiermaier with 5 homers, 27 runs batted in. He is a spectacular center fielder.
And an inspiration for Evan Gattis.
He reaches out and pokes one into center field. 2 men on here with 1 out for Casali now.
I'd love to know what the message on the offensive side for Tampa Bay is in the dugout right now. Take some swings toward the vacated side, or are they just going with the pitches? There's nothing else you can do with that pitch.
Now Cabrera at second, Kiermaier at first, Casali the batter. Casali from Vanderbilt University with a 221 average has gone deep 8 times with 16 runs batted in. Lately has fallen upon tough times, 4 for 37. Bouncer Feldman, Altuve, and Valbuena. 1-4-3 double play, no runs, 2 hits, a man left, no score.
Anderson. On this day in 1982, just down the road at the legendary Astrodome, Pete Rose became the all-time leader in plate appearances, stepping up to bat for the 13,941st time, exactly the same number of times that Bill Brown has stepped up to the mic. He was some kind of player. And I have to say, in playing against Pete, nobody played the game any harder than this guy.
Nope. Carlos Gomez in a 0-0 game takes ball one, bottom of the second inning. Gomez, a 188 hitter with Houston, and 249 overall. Puts a deck slider on the corner, and it's 1-1.
Carl Yastrzemski's second in plate appearances. Hank Aaron, Ricky Henderson, Ty Cobb. Some pretty likely names there, but you can see Pete way out in front.
2 balls and a strike to Gomez, who bunted for a single last night to snap an 0 for 17. He now has 2 hits in his last 36 at bats. 3-1 count. He is 0 for 3 in his career against Odorizzi, who walks him. Lead-off walk, and now Rasmus follows. Last night, Erasmo Ramirez won his 10th.
Pretty big mistake to walk a guy that is scuffling with the bat as much as Carlos Gomez has been.
Now, that's not an ideal way to start an inning. Rasmus at 236 with 17 homers, has 44 runs batted in. His last 4 hits have been long balls. Colby 0 for 4 last night, and the throw goes over and drives Gomez back. Gomez is a good base stealer. Infield shifts around, which puts second baseman Forsythe on the edge of the grass, as you see there. Center fielder shades toward right center. Strike to Rasmus, who is 1 for 8 lifetime against this right-hander. Odorizzi, something of a tough luck pitcher in his career, 17 and 21 lifetime, despite a 3.75 ERA. In the dirt, Solly stops at 1-1. Among active pitchers with 50 starts or more in their careers, only 3 have lower ERAs and a lower winning percentage for their careers. Solly's thrown out 5 of 21. Last year, there were just 4 steals in 10 attempts against Odorizzi. Now it's 2-1. You know, we used to talk all the time in situations like this, Ash, about this hole at first base with a left-handed hitter, with the runner at first being held on by the first baseman. No hole now. The second baseman is plugging it.
Pretty well covered up over there.
And the throw goes over.
You know, we've seen a number of teams that have appeared to try to take shots at the vacated side of shifts. Can't say the Astros have made that many visible attempts that way.
Had a chat with Jed Lowry about that tonight. 3-1. And Jed is the type of hitter who does use all fields, but he said if you start trying to really concentrate on hitting the other way against the shift, it can take you out of your game sometimes.
Unless that is your game.
Right.
It's about the focus, I guess.
Sure. And you need a certain type of pitch to be able to take it the other way on the ground. 3-2. Now it's wide open now with Longoria moving up the middle.
Colby's an uppercutter, and that makes it really tough to put it on the ground the other way.
Runner takes off, swing and a foul tip. Here's the throw, and he's out. That's a strikeout throw out, double play from 2-6.
I think Carlos is looking toward the dugout to see if anybody's considering a challenge on this call. That's a nice job from behind the plate by Casale.
DJ Rayburn with the out call.
And you'd have to say it's a good call. It is a close play.
Yes. He did get him. Evan Gattis comes up. He had his 28th multi-hit game of the year last night. Clubbed his 18th homer of the year. 236 for Gattis. He's driven in 61 to lead the club, and that's strike one. He's 29 years old today. Happy birthday, Evan Gattis. Roberto Clemente.
How about that?
Who's Francis Cobain?
I was going to ask you about Madeline Stowe there. Robert Redford.
Madeline Stowe, the actress?
You got me.
Okay. Recognition of the birthday. In tight, and it's 2-1. Evan has promised not to steal a base this year.
He is not going to confuse himself as a speedy player that has a load of triples.
He wants to be the first player since Roy Howell in 1980 to have 9 or more triples and no steals. That's select company.
I don't think as a youth you have any way to envision yourself as that kind of a player.
Broken bat. Odorizzi can't reach it. Longoria cuts across and throws him out. No runs, no hits, and nobody left. No score after a couple. Nirvana, Kurt Cobain. Thanks to Dylan Sides for that information. Learning all sorts of things tonight, Ash.
Yeah, I wonder, I know nothing about her. Does she sing? Does she have a band?
Well, that opens up other questions that we do not have answers for.
Those answers are forthcoming to you on Twitter.
Okay. John Jaso leads it off in the third. No score. He hit a fly ball deep to center field on the first pitch of the game. And there's ball one to Jaso. Feldman is 2-4 here at home this year. Big 6'7" right-hander gets a fly ball to Marwin. 1 out.
Time for the Name That Astro, brought to you by your local Honda dealer. Okay, so this particular former Astro, Steve Carlton's former catcher, caught first no-hitter in Houston and Montreal. Played for the King in his court after retiring. What?
Really?
Okay.
I'll bet that rings a bell for you, doesn't it?
Not really. Brady Sizemore is batting. He walked first time up. We can tell our Matt Galante stories, though.
Oh, boy, can we.
Matt Galante, former Astros coach, and the guy who helped immeasurably in Craig Biggio's conversion from catcher to second base, was never struck out by Eddie Feigner, the king in his court.
And Eddie Feigner took many a shot at striking him out.
He probably had at least 400 at-bats against Eddie, and he never struck out.
Yeah, that might be true. Feigner couldn't get him and started getting hot, told him to stay there.
Great.
And he tried between the legs and behind the back and every way he could, blindfolded, and could not get Matt Galante.
It's great to see Matt at Cooperstown. And, of course, he was singled out by Mr. Biggio.
Yes, he was.
As he should have been. We'll hear more Saturday.
Yeah, the man who taught Craig Biggio to catch a ground ball with a ping pong paddle.
Yeah, that's
pretty close, wasn't
almost
it?
Literally true, yes. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Mets lead the Orioles 2-0 there in the top of the 4th in Baltimore. Jacob deGrom is on the mound against Kevin Gausman. Curtis Granderson hit his 21st long ball. Tap foul. That Mets pitching staff is just really fun to watch, and we've been speculating and wondering about these pitchers reaching their innings limits for the year. You read a story tonight indicating that they will try to nurse them through September by skipping starts and moving the back and things like that, right?
Meaning they're not going to shortchange their team if they do get to postseason play. They're going to have those guys. But I think it's about probably bringing on some arms from minor leagues, trying to fill some starts, cut down on the number of innings for these guys. But no notion whatsoever of doing what the Nationals did a few years back with Steven Strasburg. Shut down time and go on to the postseason without.
That's strike 3. Sizemore caught looking. Strikeout number 1 for Feldman.
Like a little paint job on the outside edge of the knees. Debatable whether that ball catches the strike zone, but very close.
Two down, and Longoria bats. He singled through the right side his first time up. You speak of young arms in the month of September. Lance McCullers Jr. is starting tonight for Corpus Christi, and the plan is for him to throw between 45 and 60 pitches and then be evaluated. 1 ball, 1 strike. McCullers, after being sent down after that start in Texas a couple of weeks ago, has been working in bullpens but hasn't pitched in a game.
Pretty effective pitch right there with a big swing from Longoria.
It's 2 balls and a strike.
Yeah, you can look for Lance McCullers to be back in this rotation fairly soon, I would think. And he's a difference maker.
Boy, he had some electric starts, and he'll get more. The idea being to have him in that rotation in September for the Astros, certainly. That's why he was sent down. Now 3-1. Twins and Yankees are tied 1-1. They're in the top of the 6th at Yankee Stadium. CC Sabathia pitching well against Mike Pelfrey. Longoria went through with it. It's 3-2 now.
And you're thinking, if you're Longoria, well, if you threw me that 3-1, he certainly is willing to come 3-2 with it. But in thinking that way, it also sets up the fastball.
That's hit. Foul left field side, and they're getting up.
That's in theory. That was the fastball, and that theory got hit a long ways.
Yeah, it did. That made a loud noise.
Theories often do.
to left center. Gomez coming over. Marwin Gonzalez, though, gets there first. Out number 3. No score after 2.5.
Bottom of the third, and there you see the big number 7 out there. Well, this Friday, be sure to check out Craig Biggio, Journey to Cooperstown. Our Kevin Eschenfelder sat down with Craig to discuss his journey to the Hall of Fame and other aspects of his great career. You don't want to miss this, folks. Great show, 5:30 right here on Root Sports this Friday. Guys, back up to you.
5:30 Friday. Okay, we'll put it down. Can we see that here at the ballpark, Bart? Sure, you can pull some strings. We'll do that. And they are out in force tonight. And in fact, Craig Biggio is here tonight as well. 0-0. Luis Valbuena, the batter. Ball 1 to the first sacker with 21 homers, 43 runs batted in, and a .211 batting average for Luis. He was 0 for 2 with a walk last night. He was out early for bunting work today. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Trying to drop it on that third base side.
Yep. They had a bucket about a third of the way up the line, and that was the target.
Well, actually, that is a bit of that work that I keep thinking about teams trying to do. If a shift is put on you and you can either hit it the other way or bunt it the other way, you got yourself a hit.
And as you indicated with Colby, some hitters don't have the type of swing to get on top of a ground ball the other way, so the option would be to bunt.
At issue, though, with Valbuena is he does. He actually has a good stroke hitting line drives to left field. You see it during batting practice. However, during the game, he goes back to that uppercut, pulling all the way.
This one out to left field. Sizemore along the wall, and he held on. Outstanding catch by Grady Sizemore, banging into that scoreboard wall in left. He's feeling it right now.
Yeah, we saw Jake Marisnick make what I thought was a great play in Fenway up against the Green Monster. And this play it's very much like that. That's a dangerous board. And I think any left fielder who has to meet up with that board like that will tell you it's as tough as any play in the game right now for an outfielder.
He took a jolt. Maybe the right shoulder hitting hard there.
A guy that's had a hard time staying healthy through the years anyway.
Good catch. Jason Castro follows. 10 homers, 29 runs batted in. He has those other numbers you see. Strike to Castro. Castro was 0 for 2 with a walk last night. Odorizzi goes to a 1-1 count. He's been working effectively this season with his split-fingered fastball and slider, and he's throwing those pitches off the corner near the knees. It's a liner into right field. Well hit by Castro for hit number 2 for Houston.
Got a pitch left up and had a nice short path from that original position. Watch the barrel directly to the baseball.
That was quick.
Yeah, no messing around in any other neighborhoods.
Jose Altuve singled past a diving Evan Longoria in the first inning. When he's hot, the Astros usually score runs. Strike to Altuve, who has a .347 on base average for the season. He's only one hitter. He is the leadoff man. That has a lot to do with setting up some scoring innings, but he really sets a nice tone. He bunts. Longoria barehanding, throwing, and out is the call, but no, he wasn't out, was he?
Not to my eye. And I think there's going to be consideration anyway for reviewing this one. A.J. Hinch immediately comes out. And I think A.J., like us, felt that to the naked eye, that was safe.
We haven't seen a replay yet.
Let's see what we can pick up. I'll tell you what, though, on a very good bunt, Longoria makes a whale of a play. It's just not in time, that's all.
Right, but it was an outstanding effort by Longoria.
You know what? That play might be closer than I was going to give it credit for.
Yeah.
But it also tells you how good your eye is in seeing that play at full speed. And that better be changed to a hit.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, clearly.
No doubt.
Okay, so there you go. There's your bunt knock.
There it is. It was placed so well, and yet Longoria did an amazing job to make that play close.
Yeah, that's a heck of a play.
He is an outstanding third baseman.
You know, for me, Adrian Beltre is probably the best third sacker in the game right now, certainly in the American League. But there was a time a handful of years ago where Evan Longoria was encroaching on that territory, and maybe as good as anybody.
He won Gold Gloves in 09 and 2010.
That play has to be changed. I don't know why they are still trying to figure it out in New York.
They have finished the process.
Bonbons have been finished. The safe call has been given.
Call is overturned. Altuve is safe despite the best efforts of Longoria, and it's runners at first and second and one out. And now the Sizemore play is really figuring into this inning.
Hey, that's heady right there by Jose Altuve, and that batting average, by the way, is starting to elevate for Jose.
Now Marwin Gonzalez. He put down the sacrifice bunt. That's the 28th infield hit, second in the American League for Altuve.
306 that mark now, Bronny.
He's making a move. That was 131 on the review of that play.
Only 21 of which was needed. Yeah. Counting the jog over there.
Why is Marwin Gonzalez playing left field? Well, A.J. Hinch had to answer that question in his media session tonight. He said Marwin takes fly balls in left field all the time, so playing him there is not any problem at all defensively. And he said, I think the way he swings the bat, he gives us an excellent chance to win.
Can't disagree with any of that. He's had a couple of early fly balls and handles them like a good left fielder.
He fouls at 0-2. Preston Tucker is having a very good rookie season. He's had a number of outstanding games. He did not get the call tonight.
Some people will say more cowbell, and some people say more cheese.
Yes. Well, these ticket offers this week for this series are fantastic. You can buy an upper deck seat and bring 2 kids 14 and under here for free. Flared near the left field line. Sizemore coming over. That will drop in for a hit. It'll score Castro. Altuve's getting a stop sign. And it's an RBI double for Gonzalez. On the 0-2 pitch, he got a 16th double, 1-0.
So if you're among those saying, why play Marwin in left field in a game like this, it's because he keeps doing this sort of thing. He has been so valuable to this team. And not only does this produce a run, but it sets up a great shot to put more on the board.
Especially with Correa coming up. 1 out. The infield is in for Carlos Correa. Correa has been fantastic with men in scoring position. So that's the gesture back to his teammates in the dugout. Correa grounded out earlier.
Not sure that particular gesture has gotten this team red hot.
Well, hitting has. There's a strike to Correa.
Good hitting will get you hot, that's for sure.
Correa is hitting .340 with men in scoring position. Now the infielders have moved back. They had come in, foul back.
Carlos took a strike one that was right there. See where the first pitch is. And a lot of people say, well, he didn't like that pitch. He's waiting for something better. That's just predetermination to watch a pitch.
Carlos went 1 for 2 at Tampa Bay against Odorizzi. In the dirt. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Currently, Carlos has an .890 OPS, which is a combination of on-base average and slugging percentage. That is the tops among all major league shortstops right now. .890. Struck him out. It's a big out for Odorizzi. The runners don't move, and it's out number 2. Second punch out.
Right off that inside edge. Every Wednesday night home game is $1 Hot Dog Wednesday, presented by Nolan Ryan Beef. The next $1 Hot Dog Wednesday is tomorrow, August 19th, when the Astros take on these same Rays. For more information, visit Astros.com/$dogs, or you can call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
Jed Lowry bats. That one almost hit him, ball 1. He came up with Altuve at third base and 2 outs in the first inning. Smashed one to the right of a diving Logan Forsythe, who made a terrific play to get him. Blue Jays lead 8-5 at Philadelphia after getting 5 in the top of the 6th inning. It's 2-0 as Lowry leans back from it. Josh Donaldson has hit a pair of long balls, giving him 33 for the year. Edwin Encarnacion added number 22. Blue Jays putting some heat on the Yankees, trying to regain that top spot. It's 2 balls, no strikes.
Close pitch here. And it could have been called a strike, maybe should have been.
All right, let's get caught up. It's 3-0 now. Gomez on deck. And a strike makes it 3-1 to Jed. Lowry is hitting .229 as a left-handed batter. Fouls it away. Full count to Jed.
Might have gotten a pitch to handle right there.
.59 pitches for Odorizzi. The general philosophy of the Tampa Bay club is the starting pitchers to have rather short starts. Foul back.
Yet defined by the Tampa Bay Rays. Probably isn't so much the folks in the dugout as people that sit a bit higher But that's the way they've gone at business, and they've needed a number of guys to keep circling back from the minor leagues to make this happen.
Odorizzi was one of the mainstays in really being strong early in the season. He and Chris Archer were going deeper into games than the other starters. Strikes out Lowry, and in the third inning the Astros get a run, but they leave 2 men in scoring position. They're in front 1-0 after 3.
The drive to the playoffs as we take our peek at what's going on around the American League. Yes, the Astros lead. They lead by 2.5 over the Angels, 3 over the hard-charging Texas Rangers. Kansas City, it's all about, they aren't even looking in the rearview mirror anymore. The Yankees in Toronto, as Brownie was just talking about, playing back and forth now, and that's going to be a good race. Baltimore's not out yet. Toronto, Baltimore, Angels, Rangers, Minnesota, and Tampa Bay all in that conversation about the wild card.
Ball 1 to James Loney, 1-0 Astros. Loney hit a fly ball to left in the first inning. As of right now, Baltimore is holding down the second wild card spot. Toronto the first in the American League. Smack to first base. Valbuena takes care of Loney's grounder. The Mets have a 3-0 lead over the Orioles right now, while the Rangers trail the Mariners 3-1. They're in the bottom of the fourth. And that Angels game will be coming up later, as well as those other ones. They're White Sox and Angels, Dodgers and Athletics. Later starts tonight. Forsythe is the batter. Correa absolutely picked him. Off his glove and into left center field. He almost did it again. This time Forsythe is aboard with a 1-out single.
I'll bet Forsythe, who was flat picked in the first inning, had some thoughts as this ball started toward Correa again. Oh, come on, hit it at somebody else. He manages to get a little leather on it.
He did. Hit number 4 for the Rays. They've all been singles. Cabrera had one of those. He got his hit to left field in the second inning. Pirates lead the Diamondbacks 7-3. They're in the top of the 7th at PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Starling Marte hit his 14th homer. Correa to his right, drops the ball out at second. He recovered to get out number 2. The ball hit sharply by Cabrera, who reaches.
Ball appeared to come up a little bit on Carlos, but he had that big body in front. Certainly a double play ball to start with. Let's see if we can see the ball come up. Tough to say, but he had it right in the center of the body, which is a real nice key in making sure to get an out here.
That was the key. You're right. Those 2 steps to his right were quick, and that got him positioned well to block that with his chest as it came up. 2 outs, and it's Nava batting. Nava hit a fly ball to right. Ball 1 to Nava.
By the way, that's John Danks for the White Sox against the Angels. Garrett Richards tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Got it.
We're learning more and more about our earlier comments. Francis Cobain works as a model.
That curveball has got to find the knees at the front of the strike zone. Let's take our peek and see what we think. Yes. There's just no way a ball can bend that much downward and not catch some of that front part of the plate there at the knees.
Up the middle, Correa stumbles, throws to first on one, bounce to Valbuena, and gets Nava on a ball hit behind second. And Correa was able to regain his footing for out number 3. No runs, a hit, and a man left. 1-0 Houston, kids.
Nothing as we move to the bottom of the 4th, and it's time to name that Astro. It's brought to you by your local Honda dealer. We gave you the clues a little earlier. Steve Carlton's former catcher caught the first no-hitter in both Houston and Montreal, played for the King in his court after retiring. We're talking about the pride of Killeen, Texas, John Bateman, who grew up in Lawton, Oklahoma, signed with the expansion Colt 45s as an amateur in 1962, guys.
Thank you, Bart. A lot of folks got that one as they answered on Twitter. Carlos Gomez takes strike 1. He drew a walk and was thrown out trying to steal in the 2nd inning. Gomez fouls it away, and it's no balls, 2 strikes.
I have to tell you, Brownie, I had no idea John Bateman was part of the King in his court.
Didn't remember that. Nope, you're right. We learn things every night from Who Am I?
I wonder if he was back there when Matt Galani was just driving the King crazy.
No doubt. Struck him out looking. That's number 4 for Odorizzi. Colby Rasmus will be next.
Right there at the knees.
Rasmus struck out in the 2nd inning. Astros RBI softball and junior baseball teams made it all the way to the MLB RBI World Series finals this year. All 3 of them. Rasmus fouls it back. There's strike 1. Congratulations to those teams. It's Miami 7, Milwaukee nothing. They're in the top of the fourth at Milwaukee. No balls, 2 strikes. Evan Gattis is on deck. The Astros have hit 171 against Rays pitching in the first 4 games this season. A punch out, number 5. That's 4 in a row for Odorizzi.
One of those really harmed the Astros that came in the 3rd inning. The strikeout of Carlos Correa for the 2nd out of the inning. That with runners at 2nd and 3rd. Chance to kind of open things up a little bit.
Yeah. And then he struck out Correa and Lowry. That might be where that's what you're talking about in the 3rd inning. Yeah. Gattis grounded out earlier. Fouling it back, strike 1. Struck out Rasmus on that caught stealing double play by Gomez in the 2nd. So he has pulled out some key strikeouts in this game to keep it close. Giants and Cardinals are scoreless in the bottom of the 2nd inning in light rain at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Gattis to the gap in left center field. It bounces, it goes off the bullpen fence.
Make it 10.
No, he's not going to stretch it to 10. It's double number 15, not triple number 10.
I'll bet he thought about it. You hit one in the gap right now with 9 triples, and there's got to be a thought. Now, this was a no-doubt gapper right from the start. That gap in left center is not as inducive to the 3-bagger, but yeah, there he is. He's having fun with this whole thing.
Check that out. Yeah. 15 doubles, and it's Balbuena batting now. That's ball 1.
I have not and will not steal a bag this year, but I'm going for another 3-bagger.
Balbuena sent Grady Sizemore into the wall in left field to catch his line drive in the 3rd inning. It's 2-0 in the Giant Cardinal game. Lance Lynn has started with 2 no-hit innings for St. Louis against Ryan Vogelsong for San Francisco. The Dodgers and Giants will have a big 3-game meeting coming up in 2 weeks. Dodgers will be here this weekend. 2-1. We were checking around, checked the Dodgers website today to try to get probables for the weekend here, but they do not have them listed yet. Clayton Kershaw is pitching tonight. They have an off day, though, Thursday, so that's the reason it's tough to calibrate their rotation. They also had an off day Monday this week. So a question there for Don Mattingly of whether he wants to keep Kershaw and Greinke as 1-2 starters on 4 days rest or whether to slide them back. And a lot of that will depend on how he wants them pitching in that Giants series. I would assume he wants both of them in that 3-game series against the Giants. 3-1. It's getting late enough in the season, and the Giants have a pretty good edge in the season series over the Dodgers. They would want their very best going against San Francisco. Dodgers currently with a 3-game lead over San Francisco. Fouled, and it's 3-2 to Balbuena. Odorizzi has the 2nd lowest run support in the American League, 3.17 runs per 9 innings pitched. Jared Weaver of the Angels has the lowest. That's a shot foul. The Rays maintaining their competitiveness despite over the last few years losing David Price in that trade to Detroit. James Shields going on run with younger arms under the new skipper, Kevin Cash.
That was kind of about the mystique of Joe Madden for a long time, but Joe Madden now is mystiquing the Cubs.
They don't mind at all.
Not a bit.
Pop back out of play. And Cash is a local product there from the Tampa St. Petersburg area. This will be the 9th pitch coming to Valbuena. Big series starting tonight for Washington at Colorado. Nationals have been in the doldrums most of the season. They're a game under 500, 4.5 behind the Mets, and they have lost 6 in a row now, coming off a day off after being swept in a 4-game set at San Francisco. Foul back.
Well, that kind of speaks to how good the Giants are. And I felt like the Astros were in a must-win situation, that final game that Feldman tossed up there. And great win to come up with.
Detroit and the Cubs are in a rain delay. It's 5-2 Tigers at Wrigley after 3. Valbuena stays alive. Good battle here. Well, the Nationals have lost each of Jordan Zimmerman's last 4 starts. He's a very good pitcher. Things are just not clicking. Jason Castro's on deck. Valbuena strikes out to end the 4th inning, and the Astros have left 4 on base. And they've all been in scoring position. Evan Gattis is left in scoring position after the double, 1-0 Houston. Your low fare now at southwest.com. By HEV. No store does more than my HEV. And by Whataburger. Come meet Jason Castro at the Whataburger at 1110 Silver Road in Houston, Texas, August 19th from 11 a.m. until noon. For more information, visit astros.com/appearances. That's tomorrow. Go to the 5th inning. It's 1-0. The Astros leading as the fans enjoy a little refreshment here at Minute Maid Park. And they have enjoyed the Astros' 40-20 record while they eat and drink at Minute Maid Park as well this year. It's a tight one with the Astros having the edge in hits 5-4. Each club has left 4, and each club has no errors. Kevin Kiermaier leads it off in the 5th inning. He singled to center in the 2nd. There's strike 1. He's showing bunt. Well, Tal Smith, who was a part of that whole initial process of Major League Baseball coming to Houston, has more on the John Bateman question for you, the who am I question. It's 1-1. Says the Colt 45 signed John for $78 at a tryout camp in Texas City.
How do you come to that figure?
It was reimbursement for his travel expenses to the tryout camp. $78 for John Bateman.
Wow. No meal money involved, huh? At least get the kid a hot dog. Those were different days, weren't they?
Yeah. Bet they were. 2 balls, 2 strikes. What do you think the minimum salary was? 1962.
62. Well, yeah. I'm going to bet $8,000.
Okay.
Maybe not that much. Maybe 6.
Yeah, that might be high. You're right. It's 3-2 to Kiermaier with Casali and Jaso to follow.
What was Willie Mays making in those days? As we evaluate this pitch from Scott Feldman.
Grounded, and Altuve goes to his right for out number 1. Casali comes up next now. He bounced into that 1-4-3 double play earlier. Since Feldman came off the disabled list after right knee surgery, in 5 starts he's 1-1 with a 2.93 ERA. And we talked about it the other day. Maybe his arm is fresher. Now nobody wants to go down with surgery for that long, but he has only 95 innings on him this year. Willie Mays made $75,000 in 1962, according to Mr. Philip Woodrow.
75,000.
Yeah.
Assuming that was pretty good payment in those days.
Pretty good chunk of change. Strike, and it's 0-2 to Casali.
I'm going to bet he didn't pay any of that to an agent. That's a good call. I love seeing home plate umpires still able to make the call when the pitch isn't where the catcher set up.
In the air and to left field it goes toward the seats to tie the ball game at 1. Casali with the 0-2 pitch hits home run number 9, and it's a 1-1 game. 17 runs batted in for Casali.
Put that one up there with the big boys. Well, I think that was intended to be could have been a cutter, might have been just the 4-seamer. That might have been the 4-seamer, but got launched pretty well.
12th home run allowed by Feldman in his 95 innings. John Jaso is 0 for 2. He's hit 2 fly balls. 1 to center, 1 to left. Ball 1 to Jaso. See, Willie Mays in 1959 made $160,000.
1959.
Yeah.
So he took a cut.
He took a cut. He had been at 160 in 59 and 150 in 60. Then he took a cut down to $75,000.
What?
Not sure why.
What, did he hit under 330 that year?
Maybe. Tough arbitrators those days, huh?
Man, oh man, I'd love to have heard that hearing.
That was before arbitration. 3-0. Well, did Ralph Kiner? He might have made the same money, but I think he was threatened with a cut after he had led the league in homers about 7 years in a row. And the line, I think it was Branch Rickey was running the Pirates at the time, that Kiner was winning all those home run titles. He said, we can finish last without you.
That's where you walk out and say, go give it a good shot.
Strike, and it's 3-2 to Jaso.
backdoor cutter that finds the edge.
Correa feels the roller, throws him out. 2 down, and it's Sizemore coming up. Sizemore has walked and struck out looking. Mets are leading Baltimore now 3-1 in the bottom of the 6th inning at Camden Yards. Minnesota 4, Yankees 1, bottom of the 7th at the stadium in New York, where the Astros will be playing next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Wednesday's a day game. And they go on to Minnesota. A week from Friday, they'll be there. There's a strike. Astros have not yet announced their rotation for this weekend here against the Dodgers. 0-2 to Sizemore. Tomorrow night at 7:10, it's Dallas Keuchel and Nathan Carnes. Thursday night at 7:10, Colin McHugh faces off against Chris Archer.
Over the top curveball combined with the little cutter certainly has enabled Scott Feldman to keep pitching well.
Correa flags it down. Now he scrambles for it and throws him out. Good recovery by Carlos Correa. The ball really drilled by Sizemore. Correa knocked it down, reached behind him, and got him. Casale's homer has tied it at 1.
Tickets are free for the Rays versus Astros game this week. Bring your family to Minute Maid Park and get up to 2 free kids tickets with the purchase of 1 adult ticket in selected seating. For more information, visit astros.com/kidsfree or call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
Good 1-1 game here, bottom of the 5th inning. Jason Castro with strike 1. He singled to right field and came around to score the Astros run on a Marwin Gonzalez double in the 3rd. Each club with 5 hits, no errors, and 4 men left. Even Steven as the Astros bat in the 5th against Odorizzi. Castro fouls it. It's 0-2. Carl Warwick has informed us of the minimum salary his rookie year 1961. It was $6,500. And he does not think inflation kicked it up a notch the next year.
That whole NASA program was starting to wind up, and so you don't think that impacts the salaries of major league players? Huh?
Somehow no.
Okay.
Altuve and Gonzalez to follow Castro to the plate here in the Astros' 5th inning.
I'm so thoroughly perplexed over this Willie Mays salary thing.
Okay. You'll get to the bottom of it. 2-2. Anibal Sanchez starting in Chicago for Detroit today, and that game's suspended right now. Chris Coughlin hit his 14th home run for the Cubs. Castro has struck out. That's 7 for Odorizzi. Game is in a rain delay, I should have said.
Odorizzi starting to rack him up. That's just high fastball, just 91 miles an hour picking up this one.
Jose Altuve is 2 for 2. He bunted for a hit in the 3rd. A play that was overturned. Initially, he was called out. The Red Sox are pounding the Indians 9-1 in the top of the 8th inning at Boston. Foul for strike 1. It's a touching story today that Terry Francona, longtime friend of John Farrell, the Boston Red Sox skipper. John was getting treatments today, and Terry wanted to be there, went to the hospital to be alongside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Foul back, and it's 1-2. The Royals and the Reds are tied in the top of the 9th. The Royals just got a run to create a 1-1 ball game, and they've scored off Aroldis Chapman on a homer by Ben Zobrist, his 10th of the year. In the air, and the second baseman moves over. Forsythe. 2 outs. Marwin Gonzalez bats. Marwin has put down a sac bunt, and he's doubled in the Astros run. Extremely versatile player. He has started 25 games at shortstop, 14 at third, 12 at first base, and 9 at second. And now he adds left field to the mix here. Since 2014, he's played every position on the diamond except center field, catcher, and pitcher. He played 4 games in left field last year and 1 in right. That's ball 1. He also cooks a mean breakfast.
Don't tell me he invited you.
No. 1-1.
Okay, Ronnie, here it goes.
Okay.
1960, Willie Mays made $150 grand. He made $160 the previous year, but let's go to 60. He was 3rd in the MVP voting while hitting 29 homers and driving in 103, hitting .319. And he has his salary cut in half.
Can't figure that. Well, those were different times. No free agency, no arbitration.
Charlie O didn't become the GM of that club that year, did he?
No. Two balls and 2 strikes. Shub Feeney might have been on the scene. Horace Stoneham was the owner then, right?
Is that the year that the Giants moved from? What year did they move from New York to San Francisco?
58, I believe. Yeah. Struck him out. That's 8 punch-outs for Odorizzi, and it's a 1-1 game through 5.
Piece as we move to the 6th, and it's time for our progressive fan of the game. She is Luann Nolan. She runs the Madison Job Senior Activities Center out in Pasadena, and she was given an award pregame ceremony today. Show the fans your award. Oh, yeah. That's good stuff right there. Got to make you proud, huh?
Very much so.
Tell us a little bit about the Texas Plus Champions, which this award signifies.
Yes, the Champion Plus, Texan Plus Champions is an award given to people who better the lives of senior citizens, and through various means. And this is for the Madison Job Senior Activities Center. And one of our staff members nominated me, and you can vote for us. What happens is we're 5 finalists. The popular vote gets to win $25,000 for their charity, and ours would go to Madison Job Senior Activities Center.
That's great work. Recently, you took a group of seniors to Austin, I understand?
Yes, 39 seniors to Austin to hear the governor speak. And it was really a lot of fun. Senator Taylor and others were just fabulous. They helped us, and the seniors had a great time. We do day trips. We also do things to help seniors learn about fraud so that they're protected against fraud. So we'll bring speakers in and that sort of thing, and all kinds of activities.
Well, that's great. Congratulations. That is great work. Again, the Madison Job Senior Activity Center in Pasadena. She is Luann Nolan, and she is our progressive fan of the game. Congratulations.
Thank you, Bart. Thank you.
Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Bart. Infield hit there by Longoria on the dribbler to third. Puts him aboard for Loney with an 0-1 count here in the 6th inning, with the game tied 1-1. That was hit number 6 for the Rays. Feldman falls behind. It's 2-0 on Loney with Forsythe on deck. As the Rays are in this 1-1 game. They tied it on the Casale homer in the 5th inning. Mariners still lead the Rangers at Texas 3-1. They're in the top of the 7th now. Wakuma has pitched a strong game for Seattle. Bounced on one hop. Valbuena spins, throws to second to Correa for the force play. That's out number 1. Loney reaching on the play.
Gotta like that effort to get that lead out. For a guy that doesn't play first base a lot, gotta have some confidence in that play. Of course, the Astros come out early before batting practice. They're working on this first base spot with a number of guys almost daily. Not an easy throw for Altuve to handle.
Now Correa had to reach down low.
Almost failed to handle it.
Forsythe, the batter. There's strike 1. He hit a screamer, and Correa, diving to his right, got up to throw him out with 2 men on to end the top of the 1st inning, and then hit another bullet, this time to the left of Correa, off his glove for a single to left center in the 4th. Curveball's in for a strike, and it's 0-2 on Forsythe.
That slow bender, a la Roy Oswalt.
You bet. Yeah, he had a dandy. That used to tie up hitters in knots. Well, Roy threw a fastball that most of the time was in the mid-90s. Scott doesn't reach that neighborhood, and then Roy's curveball was what, high 70s?
High 70s, you're right. That was an enormous spread between the two.
The Rays have won 7 straight series from the Astros. Altuve lays out for it. It's on through into right field. Rasmus picks it up. A single for Forsythe, so he's had 3 really good at bats tonight, and his 1st and 2nd one out for Cabrera.
Your Feldman, you got the ground ball you were hoping for, but location wasn't your friend.
As Drupal Cabrera singled to left in the 2nd inning, he bounced into a force in the 4th. back towards second by Feldman. Scott Kazmir went 5 1/3 last night. Josh Fields worked 2/3 of an inning. Tony Sipp threw a couple of innings, and Oliver Perez finished it. Pitch in tight, ball 1 to Cabrera. The Astros still have the best ERA in the American League, 3.47. 4 of the 7 hits by the Rays have come on ground ball hits. In for a strike, and it's 1-1. The Astros pitchers are a ground ball staff, but their hitters are a fly ball group. Popped up. Lowry comes in. Infield fly called. 2 outs. And Nava will be the batter. He's 0 for 2.
By the way, we've got some folks trying to help us out on Twitter with all that stuff with Willie Mays.
Yeah.
There appears to be a discrepancy in numbers in terms of the salary for Willie Mays from one site to another. But
okay.
So all we can say is we've got different numbers than some of the folks.
Yeah. The confusion continues to reign supreme over Willie's salary differential.
There's no way to get around it.
There's no clear explanation of how he could take that big a cut after having that kind of a year. Daniel Nava's 0 for 2. Nava looks at ball 1. Feldman threw 85 pitches in 6 innings in his last start, pitching a shutout ball at San Francisco. 2 balls, no strikes to Scott against Nava with Kiermaier on deck. The Rays were swept by the Texas Rangers over the weekend in 3 games before coming here. Next they'll head to Oakland after the Thursday night finale of this series. Foul away, and it's 2 balls, 1 strike. Scott was talking about that last game when he pitched so well against the Giants. His curveball was outstanding. A very big pitch for him. There's the breakdown, and in the 4th he had that 7-pitch inning.
Now he's been effective once again tonight.
Nava beats it into the ground, stays alive at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Steve Geltz is warming up for the Rays. Rolled to Lowry's left. He will just make the tag on the base runner. And it looks like he went out of the baseline, so Jed would not have had to actually tag him. No runs, 2 hits, 2 men left. It's 1-1 in the 6th.
rewind it back to the first inning. Logan Forsythe at the plate, and Carlos Correa playing some D at shortstop. Odd play on the back end there, but nothing odd about this. Spectacular work by Correa at shortstop. He's done it time and time again. And I don't see any stopping of those kind of plays anytime in the future.
His glove work has helped to keep this game close, and it's 1-1. Comes up for the third time. He grounded to third in the first inning, struck out with runners at second and third for the second out in the third inning. And it's strike one from Odorizzi, who has fanned 8. He's walked 1 through the first 5. Bullpen is busy for Tampa Bay. 95 pitches for Odorizzi. No balls, 2 strikes. You talked about it earlier, Ash, but data from hundreds of thousands of games has been fed into computers, and the third time through the order, pitchers are not as effective against hitters. Correa with the .890 OPS, topping the Astros all-time shortstop list as of now. Loney over into foul ground and makes a fine catch. That's out number 1. We go to Bart Ennis.
Thank you, Bill. Hey, fans, be social with Root Sports, and we will thank one lucky fan by giving them a better view of the game with a brand new 40-inch HD television. Just follow us on Twitter at Root Sports SW now through August 31st, and look for your chance to win. Go to rootsports.com for official rules. 40-inch HD TV, guys.
You could use that yourself, right?
Absolutely. I'm ineligible, though.
No, that's right.
Right.
Jed Lowry is 0 for 2. Logan Forsythe made a mean play on him back in the first. That could have driven in a run, and he struck out in the third. There's strike 1 here for Odorizzi. So this third time through the order, even this inning is stretching it for some of the Tampa Bay plans in some of their games. Depending on who the pitcher is. Fly ball to right field. Hit deep. Nava back. Nava on the warning track. 2 outs.
Nice trajectory. Just not enough behind it. Big curveball. Right over the top. Very Feldman-like. And I don't know if Jed knew right away that he didn't get enough. Maybe looked like that ball might have gotten off the label just a bit.
Yeah, it didn't have that sound to it. Carlos Gomez with a walk and a strikeout looking. Takes ball 1. Houston native Brad Horn works for the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. He's vice president. He will bring Craig Biggio's Hall of Fame plaque to Minute Maid Park on Saturday. Big cut by Gomez, and it's 1-1. Fans will be allowed to take a picture with Biggio's plaque for a $7 charity donation. The $7 was chosen in honor of Biggio's number 7. Ground ball will trickle through into right field for a Gomez single. He's aboard with 2 outs for Colby Rasmus.
That's purely fighting it off. This ball got into the kitchen, but when it's all said and done, there are base hits in the kitchen apparently.
He's aboard for Rasmus. Gomez was thrown out trying to steal in the second inning. Rasmus has struck out both times tonight. The proceeds from the photos with Biggio's plaque will be split evenly between the Sunshine Kids and the Hall of Fame and Museum, which is a non-profit organization. Strike. Rasmus, I had guessed it would be for the Astros in Action Foundation, but that's not correct. Biggio will be speaking Saturday before the game. First 10,000 fans receiving Biggio Hall of Fame t-shirts. Ceremony should start about 5:30. Games at 6:10 Saturday. Diving back in, Gomez. He was leaning a little bit. And we had a question on Twitter the other night, Ash, about where exactly this plaque will be. We're not sure, but probably Union Station. It'll be one of the very well-traveled places around Minute Maid Park. Anticipating a lot of photos will be taken.
Yeah, where would it be seen more by the fans? Union Station, or maybe what's the alleyway
home
out
run alley?
home run alley out in left center field. That'd be a great spot too.
Yeah. Kevin Cash was up on the top step of the dugout. Don't know what might have been a challenge, but nothing's happening with that. But there was a momentary delay over whether perhaps he might be challenging something. Kevin Gaddis on deck. Throw goes over. Maybe that pickoff throw on Gomez. Maybe they thought they had him in the previous one.
Well, it could be the case. That would be the only thing I could imagine the skip coming out and maybe taking the second for.
Tampa Bay won 3 low-scoring games from the Astros in St. Petersburg. 3-1, 3-0, and 4-3 in July. Way outside. 1-1 to Rasmus.
Carlos Gomez has picked up a couple of hits. I think one last night. Just a little dribbler, and now this. Maybe that's a sign that things are coming, but he's sure not hanging out the line drives.
One and two. Mets still lead Baltimore 3-1 there in the bottom of the 8th inning. Jacob deGrom has pitched another strong game. Dave Dombrowski has joined the Boston Red Sox as their president of baseball operations, and Ben Cherington is out as the general manager. Runner going. Throw on the wrong side of the base, and he steals it. Gomez with the steal.
Well, he could have a big impact if he could get that bat going, because he can run and a very aggressive player.
That's his 5th steal in 6 tries with the Astros.
I'm amazed these guys that dive into the bag at second don't find a way to hang on with their hand as they kind of just continue on by. There's always that chance your body comes off the bag momentarily. And you see how these teams now with the replays are keeping the glove on as much as possible.
They sure are. He takes off for third. Swing and a miss. It's bobbled, but it's a strikeout. And it's no runs, a hit, and a man left. We move to the 7th inning. It's tied at 1.
Chevron. Dallas Keuchel gets that day back on the hill as he tries to win his 15th. He'll go against Carnes of Tampa Bay, who is 7-5, doing a nice job with the 3.5 ERA. But Dallas Keuchel among the leaders in the league in ERA. That whip right at the 1 mark. He has been fantastic in 24 starts, and a guy who has not been beaten at home this year.
3-1 game moving to the 7th inning. Kiermaier leads it off. Dallas Keuchel watching before he takes the mound tomorrow night. There's strike one to Kiermaier. Kiermaier is 1 for 2. 17,749 the paid attendance. Softly hit to right center field, and that's in for a hit. Gomez firing and diving back to first. Kiermaier, he's 2 for 3 now.
Let's take a look at Bringing the Lumber, brought to you by Yellowwood. Haven't been bringing a whole lot of lumber here this evening. For Tampa Bay, they had one mighty big swing. That home run found its way out of here in easy fashion by the 9-hitter Curt Casale. That tied the game. The Astros had a 1-0 lead before that big swing.
Now Casale comes up for the 3rd time. He is 1 for 2. Throw goes over to first base on Kiermaier, who has 13 steals in 15 attempts. Will Harris warming up for Houston. Feldman had 87 pitches for the night. There have been 8 steals in 10 tries with Feldman on the mound. He's working on Kiermaier. The Rays are 4th in stolen bases in the American League with 69 steals. And Dallas Keuchel at home is 11-0 with a 1.26 ERA. It's in tight, and it's ball 1. And he's won his last 12 decisions at home, going back to the end of last year. Danny Darwin has the club record of 13.
There was a time back in the first year in this ballpark that didn't look like it was going to be a friendly pitching yard, but Dallas Keuchel has sure made that look like a wrong early assumption.
Correa out, and here comes Gomez, and it drops. And it'll be picked up by Marwin Gonzalez, who throws toward third. Safe there. Casale into second with a double and a collision out there. Correa slow to get up. Oh, he hustled out, and Gomez couldn't get there. Now head athletic trainer Nate Lucero is headed out in that direction. A fly ball double by Casale.
That's one of those pop-ups that is kind of in no man's land. You see, maybe I got it coming from center field, but late, as Carlos Correa tried to make the play. But it's hard to focus on the baseball for either one of those guys when, in either case, it's a big guy coming at you and coming at you hard.
And that slide knocked the legs out from underneath Correa.
You can see in the end how that just winds up being a really tough play. And unfortunate for Scott Feldman, this turns into a double.
Very much so. Now he has runners at second and third and nobody out for the top of the order. That's hit number 8 for the Rays. Casale, their number 9 hitter, has a homer and a double tonight. Jaso will be the batter. He's 0 for 3. Infielders moving in tight for Jaso. Sizemore's on deck. Rays as a team are hitting .237 with runners in scoring position. Jaso, though, goes against that trend. He is 4 for his last 4 with runners in scoring position.
Nice starter curveball for the strike.
Overall, Jaso is 8 for 15 with men in scoring position this year. It's 1-1. Yankees lead the Twins 8-4. They're in the bottom of the 8th in New York. Blue Jays 8, Phillies 5, bottom of the 9th in Philadelphia. Foul ball. That's a very unusual way that Jaso goes into a stance to start the at bat.
Remember Luis Gonzalez? It didn't look like this, his stance exactly, but he had that right foot way back on or near the back chalk line, not the back toward the catcher, but the behind the hitter chalk line, and then he would bring it back toward the plate. There are some guys who have had stances similar to this, but this is unusual.
Two and two. Any idea what his thought would be behind that position?
Yeah, I think it's a timing mechanism, one that enables him to have quite a bit of momentum coming toward the mound. Whereas if you're squared up, your momentum has to come more from your hands.
Struck him out. What a big strikeout for Feldman. Number 2.
Well, it's tough to consider a walk here to face Longoria to try to get a double play, but that is a big strikeout.
Sizemore is 0 for 2 with a walk. Jaso flailing at that one. Infield remaining in now for Sizemore. Sizemore is 4 for 10 lifetime against Feldman, including a homer. Ball 1 to Sizemore. Aroldis Chapman got his first blown save at home since September 7th, 2012. And he gave up that home run to Ben Zobrist in the 9th. 2-0 now to Sizemore.
Nice effort, little backdoor cutter, doesn't quite get back to the plate.
Time call by Sizemore. Kiermaier at third and Casali at second. The Astros got a third inning run on a Marwin Gonzalez double. Casali's homer in the 5th tied it. Grounded foul. 2-1 to Sizemore. Royals and Reds are tied 1-1 in the bottom of the 10th. Mariners 3, Rangers 2, bottom of the 7th at Texas. Alex Rodriguez has a grand slam tonight for the Yankees. In the 7th inning for a 5-4 lead.
It's been a big part of that Yankee story this year.
3 balls and a strike now. Teixeira had to leave the game after fouling the ball off his foot last night. He has a bone bruise.
That could have been called a strike. We're not seeing a lot of high strikes called in recent times.
Ball 4 loads the bases. Sizemore takes his second walk. Longoria will bat.
Not a close and callable pitch. And that's in the strike zone. I continue to wonder about the evaluations on these umpires and the job behind the plate, and if they get to see these pitches that are missed nightly.
Clint Fagan's the home plate umpire tonight. He dusts off the plate with Longoria stepping up. 2 for 3. Longoria has been among the very hot hitters lately in his career. 314 with the bases loaded. He's bounced into 7 double plays this year. The dirt, ball 1. Loney on deck. Rays are hitting .307 in the month of August, second best in the majors. Ground ball, Correa to his right. Back to Altuve, high throw, and he just gets the out there, but the run scores. Tampa Bay taking a 2-1 lead. Really no chance to turn a double play because the throw took him off the base. Longoria gets the RBI, his 55th, and Tampa Bay leads it 2-1.
Costly errant throw from Carlos Correa, because that's a great shot at a double play with a good throw. That's not a super easy play, but for Carlos Correa, generally speaking, you would say that's routine.
Throw was high, and then Altuve came inside the base path and had to get back and step on the base.
Wise of Altuve to make sure and get that out.
Sure was. James Loney is 0 for 3. He would not have gotten a neighborhood call on that from DJ Rayburn. Loney looks at ball one. Seven, 8, 9 hitters are due up for the Astros in the last of the inning. Gaddis, Valbuena, Castro. Fouled away, and it's 1-1. The Rays are 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position, but Longoria's ground ball got the lead run home. Kevin Cash's club with a 1-run lead. That one bounces and out in front of the plate is blocked by Castro. 2 balls and a strike. Cash, one of the new breed of managers, young, without managerial experience, but it's a fit and it's worked well for the Rays. Played briefly 20 games with the Astros in 2010. Two balls, 2 strikes. It would certainly appear to be the final inning tonight for Feldman. Kevin Cash was a member of the Little League World Series team from Tampa North Side. Ground ball, Altuve to Valbuena. Tampa Bay grabs the lead here in the 7th with a run on 2 hits, stranding 2, and it's 2-1 Rays.
AT call to the bullpen. It's Tampa Bay. Let's make that call. Bring on Steve Geltz. Saw him last night, 57 games on the year. That leads the American League. Done a nice job. That whip well under the 1 mark. 3.5 ERA. That opponent's batting average against him, 173. This is not one of those opportunities where you come in and try to keep runners from scoring, but he's been really good in that category, stranding 21 of 23.
He certainly has been a major contributor to their success this year. 27 years old, began his career with the Angels. Good looking uniform on that young fan. 7th inning stretch time has brought the fans up, and now they watch Evan Gattis stroll toward the batter's box. 2-1 lead for the Rays. Longoria comes over to talk to Geltz. After Odorizzi, the starter, went 6 innings, allowing 6 hits, 1 run, walking 1, fanning 9. 107 pitches for Odorizzi, 79 strikes. Gattis hit a double to left center in the 4th inning. He's 1 for 2. The Rays have left 8. The Astros have stranded 5. Ball 1. All of the 5 left on base for the Astros have been stranded in scoring position tonight. 2 at third and 3 at second base. Balbuena on deck, and then Castro's due to bat. It's 2-0 from Geltz, who pitched an inning and a third last night, allowing no hits, no runs. In the 9-2 Rays win. He came in the 6th inning with 2 men on base. Struck out Castro. That time it was 6-2. He deals a strike, and that makes it 2-1. Geltz was in just 11 games in the majors last year. Pat Neshek warms up in the Houston bullpen. Two balls, 2 strikes. Evan Gattis on his 29th birthday. Ripped a double in the 4th inning. Now trying to start something in the 7th. Geltz gave up a game-tying homer in the 7th inning Friday in Texas to Delino DeShields. He's given up 7 long balls. Bouncing that one. He goes to a full count on Gattis. He could be the first rookie to lead the American League in appearances since Kelly Wunsch of the White Sox in 2000. Wunsch had 83 appearances that year. Strikes out Gattis, 1 out. Jake McGee warming up for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that was ball 4, but it was also that up in the beard heater that we've seen so many times with Evan Gattis taking advantage of this year.
Balbuena line to left. Grady Sizemore crashed into the wall and caught it in the 3rd inning. He struck out in the 4th. Castro's on deck. Strike to Balbuena. This Tampa Bay bullpen has pitched more innings than any other American League bullpen, 389.
All of that logical with the fact that the Rays try with a lot of their starters to just let them face the other team's batting order twice. But in talking today, you and I both learned that they've done it with the fact they've been able to have about 5 guys they've been circulating back to the big leagues from the minors and just spreading around the wealth in terms of games pitched.
Yeah, that was the philosophy, to have basically a young bullpen, including a ready reserve at AAA who could help out once the appearances started to pile up. Casale hurting a little bit after that foul ball. That's not a strategy that would work with every team, of course, using the bullpen that often.
We were also talking about the fact that the Rays would have a really tough time with that philosophy, bringing in free agent starters.
Foul back.
Now let me revise that. They'd have an impossible time.
Well, if 3 times through the order is the limit, it's difficult to get wins for a starting pitcher. Shortstop plays it. Cabrera on over to first. 2 outs.
Jason Castro will be making a guest appearance at the Whataburger on 1110 Silver Road. That's tomorrow, August 19th. He'll do it between 11 a.m. and noon. For more information, visit Astros.com/appearances.
As he appears here in the 7th inning, it's with 2 outs, nobody on, and he's 1 for 2 tonight. He singled to right in the 3rd and scored the only Houston run on a Marwin Gonzalez 3rd inning double to left. Mariners still lead the Rangers 3-2. They're in the middle of the 8th inning. Hisashi Iwakuma still in the game. The Angels just got 3 in the 1st, and after 1 they lead the White Sox in Anaheim 3-0. Fly ball out to right center field. Kiermaier coming over to end the 7th. 2-1 Rays. Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Jack in the Box. For a limited time, try the new Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack with melted garlic herb butter. It's another tight one between the Rays and the Astros. 2-1 Rays, moving to the 8th inning. Scott Feldman leaving this game after 7, and Will Harris comes in for the 8th.
He has been something for the Astros this year. Get to take a look at some of the strikeouts on the season for Will. He's got a good fastball. I think he surprises guys with that low, pushing toward mid-90s hitter. Go the cutter, mix in a curveball. Lefties and righties both having a very tough time against him.
2-9-0 for the Rays, 1-6-0 for the Astros. Great ratio of walks to strikeouts. 3 times as many punch outs as walks for Will Harris. He faces Forsythe, who's 2 for 3. That's strike 1 to him. Scott Feldman worked 106 pitches tonight, 65 of them strikes. He continues to look good. It's 1-1. The Astros will have the top of the order due up in the bottom of this inning. Altuve, Gonzalez, Correa. Lefty Jake McGee's been warming up in the Rays' pen. He's a mid-90s left-hander. In for a strike. 1-2.
be a little bit of a cut back toward the plate.
Curveball gets a strikeout. Castro with the throw. 1 out.
Thought Scott Feldman tonight deserved better than he's gotten to this point. A big strikeout guy, couple on the night. But he just kept pounding the strike zone, getting the outs as he needed them. Had some defense made behind him. Carlos Correa at least a couple of times, but it was Correa unable to complete what maybe should have been a double play ground ball as the Rays picked up their second run.
Will Harris got the win Sunday in that 6-5 game. The Astros beating Detroit on the Altuve single in the bottom of the ninth. As Drupal Cabrera, 1 for 3, takes a strike. Will working 2 innings, and that could happen again tonight. If he can go a couple. Well, he could get the win without going a couple. Swing and a miss, and it's 0-2. Will leads the Astros relievers in innings with 51 2/3. That's also up there in ERA for his numbers. 5th lowest among American League relievers at 1.57. And the batting average of 170 against him is 5th best. 1-2 with Daniel Nava on deck in that Angel White Sox game. The Angels got 3 in the first off John Danks. They got a 2-run homer from Albert Pujols, or solo shot rather, his 33rd, and Cole Calhoun hit number 18. That was the 2-run homer. 2-2. Garrett Richards is pitching for the Halos tonight. Altuve really got moving quickly. 2 outs. His feet were moving when that ball came off the bat.
Yeah, I think that was one of those scenarios where as an infielder you maybe know in advance by watching signs, but certainly see that slow curveball coming in, and your reaction is to move further to the pull side.
Two outs for Will Harris. Daniel Nava's 0 for 3. Harris with that 1.57 ERA would have the 4th lowest ERA produced by a Houston reliever for a single season if he ended the year with that figure. It's the same ERA Billy Wagner had in 1999. Larry Anderson was slightly lower in 89 at 1.54, and Don McMahon had a 1.53 in 62.
Well, that really puts it in perspective when you start talking about Billy Wagner.
Yeah. 2 balls, no strikes. Dodgers and the Athletics are scoreless. They're in the bottom of the 2nd in Oakland. Clayton Kershaw versus Felix Dubronx. Dodgers have a new third base coach, Ron Renicky, former Dodger player. Bounce foul. Apparently their base running has been terrible this year, according to some stories.
Yasiel Puig involved in any of that?
Well, undoubtedly. Crazy 8s in Pittsburgh. Arizona 8, Pittsburgh 8. They're in the top of the 10th. Gomez. 1-2-3-8 for Harris. 2-1 Rays.
Hey, when the Astros win, you win. Every time the Astros win on a Tuesday, you get 50% off your pizza order on Wednesday at Papa John's. Use promo code ASTROS at papajohns.com. It'd be nice if people could use that tomorrow, guys.
Wouldn't that be nice? You're right. Thanks, Bart. Jake McGee comes in, 2-1. Tampa Bay leading. He's one of the top setup men around. Hard-throwing left-hander, 29 years old, from Sparks, Nevada. He's come back from Tommy John surgery in 2008 to throw well. And 1-2, 6 saves and 9 opportunities, a 2.43 ERA.
That's some impressive lifetime numbers as well. In now his 6th year, he's 21-11 and a 2.78 career ERA.
Steve Geltz had a 1-2-3 seventh with a strikeout. Now it's Jose Altuve, who has really hit lefties well this year again. 2 for 3 tonight. Gonzalez and Correa to follow. But the Astros down by 1. Longoria is even with a bag at third. Strike for McGee. McGee had 2 scoreless appearances against the Astros in St. Petersburg, July 10th and 11th. He got a hold in both of those games.
A couple of other very impressive numbers from McGee on his career. He has struck out over 11 batters per 9 innings on his career and allowing about 6.5 hits per 9 innings. Well, he has been really tough.
Brad Boxberger is the closer. Altuve looks at that one for ball 2. McGee gave up 3 singles and a sac fly in the 8th inning Friday at Texas for his 2nd loss.
I think Altuve likes facing lefties.
Well, he does. This guy is certainly a notch above most lefties in terms of mid-90s velocity. But it goes out quicker. Line shot for hit number 3 of the night off the bat of Altuve.
I just keep saying he is getting the swings again now. And whether it be to center like this one or to right or left, he is hanging them out. And that's just getting by the pitcher before he can react.
12th 3-hit game of the year for Altuve. Hit that rocket right by McGee, and now he's aboard for Gonzalez, who sacrificed Altuve to second in the 1st inning. He doubled in a run in the 3rd and then struck out in the 5th inning.
Would there be any surprise to see Marwin try to lay down a bunt here in the 8th?
Not really. But he is hitting well as a right-handed batter. .295 with a .474 slugging percentage, and there's ball 1.
Got some legit pop from this side.
Carlos Correa is on deck. Crunch time for the Astros, trailing 2-1. Fouled away, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. The Yankees beat the Twins 8-4, and the Blue Jays also won their game. Yankees stay a game in front of Toronto. A-Rod's homer, his 25th of the year. It was a grand slam. Toronto's win was 8-5 at Philadelphia. Ground ball, and that gets through for a hit into left field. Altuve to second base. Back-to-back singles here in the 8th. And a very nice evening for Margot.
Now this is a scenario where some people are thinking bunt as we watch Marwin come up with his 2nd knock of the night, but there is no way Carlos Correa is going to be asked to bunt. But I do think he can get a little more aggressive than he has been early in the count.
2 hits tonight for Gonzalez. Correa is 0 for 3 in this game. Jed Lowry's on deck.
Carlos has been involved in a number of plays tonight, and including this play in center field that had him momentarily bothered on somewhere lower leg area. It's just a dangerous play, and the Astros fortunate that neither one of these players was injured.
Strike to Correa.
I think Carlos had that same thing in mind, that maybe it's time to start swinging the bat early in the count.
Yeah. It's 1-1 to Correa. Pop fly you saw, that little collision between Gomez and Correa, was on the double by Casali in the 7th.
That's a callable pitch. There have been a number of pitches in the strike zone not called tonight.
Liner to left field. Altuve is being sent home with a tying run. Gonzalez into third, throwing to second. Correa has an RBI double. It's 2-2 in the 8th. 3 straight Houston hits. Correa continues to deliver with men in scoring position in key situations. He gets his 39th run batted in, double number 16.
This is ideal now in the bottom of the 8th inning as the Astros bullpen prepares toward the 9th, but they would love to prepare with a lead, and Carlos Correa gives them a great shot to be in that position. 3 consecutive hits against McGee, and again those numbers that say over his career he has been one of the toughest guys to get to.
Altuve scoring the tying run. Runners at second and third. 2-2 game. Nobody out. Infield in. Bottom of the 8th. Jed Lowry with a foul ball. There's strike 1. He's 0 for 3. Carlos Gomez is on deck. Three straight Houston hits off the hard throwing McGee. In for a strike. 0-2 to Lowry. Texas bats in the bottom of the 9th, trailing Seattle 3-2. 1-2 the count. 4 times this year the Astros have come back to win when they've trailed after 7 innings. Lowry taps the foul. McGee changing speeds on him.
Off-speed breaking ball, and pretty darn key that Lowry stays alive.
When the Rays lead after 7, their record is 49-3. Lowry foul tips it. A strikeout for out number 1.
Well, that's costly. Got Gomez coming to the plate with 1 out. Tough pitch.
Gomez has a clear shot here to give the Astros the lead. Runners at second and third. One out. Gomez has a walk and a single. Colby Rasmus is on deck. They'll put him on, though, so he doesn't have a shot at all. In fact,
almost put him on with a wild pitch to start it.
Yep. So load the bases and set up the lefty on lefty matchup.
If you're wondering about the Astros bench, they've got right-handed bats with Marisnik and Carter. Hank Conger, the switch hitter, and the lefty Preston Tucker. I would think Conger would be the only one you would consider here. Colby's had some recent success against the left-handers.
Actually, McGee is more effective against right-handed batters, 175. Left-handers hitting 195. But this would be a move just about any manager would make.
I'm a little surprised at the walking of Gomez right here, the way he's been swinging it.
That's a thought. It does set up a double play situation, force it home. And now Rasmus would try to spoil that. He is 0 for 3 tonight with 3 strikeouts. And Gaddis on deck. Rasmus, though, has hit a couple of big home runs in the last 2 weeks. He's hit 281 with runners in scoring position. Bouncer first. Loney throws to the plate for the force. Casale's relay to first in time for a double play. It's a 3-2-3 double play, and we go to the 9th inning with a game tied 2-2.
Devices. You do that with MLB.TV Premium. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, widget, and more. Every night on every device. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for your details.
Tie ball game 2-2 after 8. This is a dandy tonight. Luke Gregerson will be pitcher number 3 for A.J. Hinch, using the closer in this tie situation in the 9th inning, with the 8, 9, and 1 hitters due up for Tampa Bay. Gregerson with a 5-2 record, a 3.20 ERA in 47 games, has done well in this closer's role. 23 for 28 in saves. To go along with those numbers, walking 10 in 45 innings and striking out 41.
Biggest previous year in saves, 9 in 2012 as a member of the Padres. So it's a breakout season in terms of being a closer.
Infield shifts around, playing Kiermaier to pull. Kevin 2 for 3 tonight. Bounces, and Altuve comes in. 1 pitch, 1 out for Gregerson. It was a 1-2-3-8 for Will Harris with a strikeout. The Astros will have Gaddis, Valbuena, and Castro due up in the last of the 9th. Kurt Casale has homered and doubled. 2 for 3 tonight. Gregerson worked a perfect 10th inning Saturday night against Detroit. That was his last outing. He delivers strike 1. Oh, and 2.
Kind of a hanger right here.
Sure was.
But it's still left Casale out in front.
He's not fishing, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. Casale hit an 0-2 pitch in the 5th inning for his home run. Gregerson facing the Rays for the first time this season. He's 1-0 in his career against them in 8 games with an ERA of 3. Casale checked to swing, and Rob Drake made that call at first. Brad Boxberger is warming up. He's the closer for the Rays.
Not going to be able to quite tell from that view, but looked like he held it back.
Missing inside. It's 3-2 now for Gregerson. It's final in Arlington. Mariners 3, Rangers 2. Hisashi Iwakuma with a win. He goes to 5-2, beating Chichi Gonzalez, who's 2-5. Carson Smith got his 13th save. Struck him out with a weak swing for Casale. 2 outs. Must have been really fooled on it.
Yeah, he got that bat out there where he was already past no man's land and just kind of finished it. I don't think that bluffed anybody.
John Jaso is 0 for 4 tonight. The leadoff man struck out in the 7th inning with runners at 2nd and 3rd and nobody out. Longoria got the RBI to give Tampa Bay a 2-1 lead after that, though, in the inning. Jaso looks at ball 1. And tight, and it's 2-0 to Jaso.
I think Luke Gregerson wants to know, where was that?
Yeah.
Inside, up. Where did it miss? First one. Where did that one miss? Now this one. It's 0-2 count, but instead 2-0. And again, number of pitches not called strikes by Clint Fagan that would certainly appear to be bad calls.
2-1. The Angels lead the White Sox 3-1. They're in the top of the 4th in Anaheim. Two balls, 2 strikes. Angels got 3 in the 1st inning. I might have said 2-1. It's 3-1 Angels. A couple of home runs by Pujols and Calhoun in that 3-run first off John Danks. Garrett Richards has given up an unearned run in his 4 innings for the Halos. Jaso strikes out. 1-2-3 9th for Gregerson. Now the Astros would try for another final at-bat win. It's tied at 2.
player of the game. Going to turn to Jake Odorizzi, the starting pitcher for the Tampa Bay Rays. Worked 6 good innings tonight, allowed a run on 6 hits, walked only 1, struck out 9, and had it going with the strikeout pitches. High cheese blown on by Colby. He pulled the string, back and forth with velocity and then taking it off.
Bottom of the 9th inning, and the birthday boy leads it off, Evan Gattis. He has a double in 3 trips. Jake McGee stays in the game. Almost hit him with ball 1. McGee gave up the game-tying double to Correa in the 8th. Then he walked Gomez intentionally and got the 3-2-3 double play on Rasmus. Chris Carter's on deck. Getting set to pinch hit for Valbuena. 2 balls, no strikes. Jason Castro's due up 3rd in the inning. Outfielders very deep. Cabrera, 1 out.
Well, it's tough to ground out on a 2-0 right there, but Gattis had to be thinking about driving one. Stay tuned for the Astros postgame, presented by Houston Methodist. That's with Kevin Eschenfelder and the lefty Mike Stanton. He of the rings.
Yeah. Chris Carter is the pinch hitter now for Valbuena. Valbuena was 0 for 3 tonight. Carter, a 181 hitter, has 17 homers, 49 runs batted in, and 326 at bats. Pinch hitting, he's 0 for 7. Carter was 0 for 1 last night pinch hitting. He took a 3rd strike in the 9th inning. Chris looks at ball 1. Jason Castro's on deck. Fouled away, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Oakland leads the Dodgers 1-0 at the end of 3 in Oakland against Clayton Kershaw. Felix Dubron will shut out the Dodgers 2-3. Carter takes ball 2. Carter's just a fraction behind Mike Trout for 2nd in the majors in pitches per plate appearance. He's walked 51 times, ranking him in the top 10 in the American League. 2 balls, 2 strikes. In this scenario, swinging the bat would be what the Astros would like to see him do.
Well, you know, that pitches per plate appearance, I'm not sure, what does it translate to if you're having an off year or a good year?
Right.
Tough one for me to get a handle on.
Well, a walk, you know, helps to cause some, but an extra base hit is really helpful here. Struck him out, 2 outs. Second strikeout for McGee. And now it's Castro.
Yeah, McGee goes down and away. And yeah, that's just an ideal pitcher pitch. I don't even think there's any room to squawk over that.
Castro singled and scored in the 3rd inning. Jason's 1 for 3. Has 1 home run against lefties in 80 at bats. Altuve's on deck.
You know, if you're thinking, well, why not pinch hit Hank Conger right here? Get the right-handed bat up there and take a swing at it. I think the challenge, along with the fact there's really no other catcher outside of Evan Gattis, is that Hank Conger hasn't thrown well, and you get late in the ball game, that running game can become big.
1-1. Rays got a run in the 7th inning to take a 2-1 lead. The Astros tied it in the 8th on the Correa double. 8 men left for Tampa Bay, 7 left for Houston. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Like McGee and company thought that this could have been called a strike. Boy, it's been tight. Tight to the extremes at times.
Oh, those outfielders are deep. 3-1. In a no doubles configuration. They don't want any ball hit over their head. But ironically, sometimes the ball hit in front of them could be a double, depending on where it lands and how fast the base runner is. That's a walk. Castro reaching with 2 outs for Altuve. Altuve has had 3 walk-off game winners at home this year.
He slammed that. That was the first of the 3. And you can see he's just kind of getting ready for the celebrations. Like you say, Brownie, 3 times. And of course, last night came up with a big one. The center field with a bit of a shift on center fielder, pushed toward right center. That brought on the tackle by Carlos Correa. A lot of fun as long as nobody gets hurt.
Pitching change, 2-2. Back in a moment. The warm-up tosses of Brad Boxberger. The closer for Tampa Bay coming in here in a tie game with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning. And Jason Castro, the runner at first base, will be now moved out of the game. Pinch runner Jake Marisnick takes over. Boxberger in 51 games is 29 for 32 in saves. He's 4-8. And second in the American League in saves, but with 8 losses, he leads. Of course, the runner here, pinch runner Marisnick, running for Castro, not his responsibility, as he faces Altuve, who's 3 for 4.
Talked about Gregerson with a breakout year in terms of being a closer. Boxberger had just 3 saves total prior to this season.
His father, Rod, was the 11th overall pick by the Astros. It was actually the first round, the 11th player in that first round, 1978. He reached Double-A. And the throw goes over. Marisnick is a base stealer. 15 for 20. Altuve last Sunday provided the RBI single against Detroit to win it in the bottom of the 9th inning, 6-5, after Marisnick had tripled. He scored the winning run. Marwin Gonzalez is on deck. Boxberger hasn't pitched since last Wednesday against Atlanta. He saved all 3 Tampa Bay wins over Houston in July in St. Petersburg. Fouled away, that's strike 1.
He has not been easy to run on, by the way. 4 stolen bases and 7 tries against him this year, so this is not a gimme for Jake Marisnick.
Boxberger got a save in a 9-6 win over Atlanta last Wednesday. Did not pitch in that Texas Rangers series over the weekend. Foul ball, 0-2. The Astros have won 11 times this year in their final at bat. Marisnick is going. It's hit in the air to right field. Way back into right field. And caught by Nava. Extra innings at Minute Maid Park. No runs, no hits, and a man left. It's 2-2 after 9. Turkey, feed your wild side. Another extra inning affair for the Astros. They won it in the bottom of the 9th. As we mentioned, Sunday over Detroit. They had played 11 Saturday night, with Detroit winning that one. It's 2-2 now as we head to extra frames. Tampa Bay at 59-59. Houston with a very important ball game here, impacting that 64-55 record. There is Jake Marisnick staying in to play right field after pinch running for Jason Castro. We have other changes as well. There's strike 1 for Luke Gregerson on Grady Sizemore in the 10th inning. Colby Rasmus has moved from right field to left field. Marwin Gonzalez finds himself at first base. Hank Conger is the catcher. Bounce foul. So the versatility of these players really comes into play in a game like this, with Preston Tucker the only remaining position player on the bench for A.J. Hinch. 0-2 to Sizemore. Gregerson Had a 1-2-3 ninth. He's pitcher number 3. So both closers currently in the game. Gomez comes in. 1 down, and that's 4 straight set down by Gregerson. The Astros 5-6 in extra innings. The Rays are 2-8. Longoria has a pair of hits tonight and a run batted in. He bounced into a force play at second in the 7th inning, and that got the 2nd run home for the Rays. Each club with 2 runs, 9 hits, no errors, and 8 men left. That's a strike to Longoria. Identical line scores. In the air off the bat of Longoria. And on the infield, Altuve. 2 outs. Since 2010, Tampa Bay is 19-5 against Houston. Loney is 0 for 4.
Well, the worm has to turn at some point, right?
That's dominance. Best record for any team against one opponent. Over the rest of time. Here's the little roller out to Altuve on to Marwin Gonzalez for a quick top of the 10th inning. Gonzalez, Correa, and Lowry due up in the bottom of the 10th to try to win it 2-2. Even. The hits and the errors are even. The left on base are even. We go to the bottom of the 10th inning. Marwin Gonzalez to lead it off for the Astros. He's had quite a game tonight. Starting in left field for the first time all season. He put down a sac bunt, drove in a run with a double, and then in the 8th inning he singled as the Astros put together a rally to tie it on the Correa double. Correa on deck as Gonzalez steps up. Rangers have lost. The Angels are leading the White Sox 3-1 after 3. Big game in the divisional standings in the AL West for the Astros tonight. Strike for Boxberger. Had a lot of appearances. Showing bunt. Marwin takes instead, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Pretty common for the home team manager to bring in the closer in the 9th inning of the tie game. Not so common for the visiting manager to bring in his closer. Reason being, when the home team gets to the 9th inning, there won't be a save situation if it's tied. But quite often the visiting manager does wait until his club has the lead before calling the closer in. Two. We had a question on Twitter about why A.J. Hinch would use Gregerson in the 9th instead of Pat Neshek.
Yeah, that's standard fare. I mean, that's, I think 30 out of 30 major league managers at home will do that.
Yes. It's the message that we're going to try to win this in the bottom of the 9th here. And stopping the opposing club in the top of the 9th is vital to that.
I think we've all heard the term one way or another, turning your bullpen around, flipping your bullpen. That's where you go from the closer back the other way once you get to that point in the game.
True. Neshek is warming up now. Gregerson has pitched 2 innings now. There's a shot to right field. Can this win it for Marwin Gonzalez? Game-winning homer. The Astros do it again. Their 12th win in the final at bat. It's 3-2 in the 10th. And he broke right through the group at home plate on his 3rd hit of the night. 8th home run of the year, and Gonzalez wins it.
Now, these wins are not coming easily right now, but they are still W's. And that's all it's about. And Marwin continues to be just a spectacular performer as a bench player.
And the Astros, as Marwin gets his first career walk-off homer, get their 2nd walk-off win in the last 3 games. Sunday it was Altuve with a single in the 9th inning. And now it's a 10th inning leadoff line drive homer to right by Marwin Gonzalez. What a finish for the Astros. It's been so tough for them to beat this Tampa Bay club. They were 0-4 against the Rays. And now they walk it off with a 3-2 victory. They're now 65-55, and this was a sweet ending for them. Really had to battle for this one tonight.
Yeah, you said it, a line shot home run. He just squares that thing up, and he knows it instantly. It's a friendly right field straight away, and Marwin had plenty to get on out. Glances toward the dugout, makes sure his teammates are all watching, gives him a little bat flip, and now the celebration will ensue.
The magic continues at home, where the Astros are 41-20. They just find ways to get it done. Looked as if the 8th inning might be the time when they would win it. They had scored a run. They had the bases loaded and 1 out, but a double play ball prevented that from happening. And these fans were really treated as they stayed here for the 10th and watched the Gonzalez walk-off homer. We'll be right back.